Hi there, everyone. It's Marc Laurenson here from Sydney Astrology School. Thanks for joining me as we look at our second episode of the Saturn Through the Houses series. And in this episode, we're going to be looking at Saturn in the fourth house. Now, if you missed our first episode, just go to the Sydney Astrology School YouTube channel, and it's there, along with some other really juicy series that I've done in the past. Now, Saturn in the fourth house. Now, this is an interesting one because the fourth house, when we think of the fourth house, it's a family house. It's a house of family and culture and tradition and parents, particularly the father, and what we bring in with us. It is all those things for sure, but it is arguably one of the most vulnerable of the houses. It's very, very deeply emotional. It has a lot of feeling, and it is where we're centered, on that level. It is the root system of our chart. It is basically where we get fed emotionally and where we get watered. It does come in through the past, does come in down the line, so to speak, through the family. Mostly it has a lot to do with our early childhood, our very, very early years, our formative years, from 1 to 7 in particular. And it kind of stores emotional memory down there. A little bit like the south node of the moon, but it is different, of course. And this is where we kind of like the foundation, the emotional foundation of who we are is kind of planted. Our seeds are planted down there. Okay. So when we think of Saturn down here in the fourth house, um, the first thing I want to say is that Saturn is teaching you to be emotionally self-sufficient from a very, very young age. You have to plant your own seeds, in other words. It's about being emotionally self-reliant, um, and feeling in a way that if I'm going to get my emotional needs met, it is going to be up to me. So this is kind of interesting because you have to look at your family and you have to look at your early environment. And I want to actually say some people with Saturn in the fourth house would have had to grow up very, very fast. Maybe, maybe they were given lots of responsibility as a youngster. Maybe they had to carry an extra load as a child. Maybe they didn't have a lot of time to just be a kid and just have fun and play. Maybe there were situations or circumstances in their childhood where they did have to be a little tiny bit more disciplined or a little tiny bit more focused or carry more of a load than the average child would. Okay. So you are learning from a very, very early age about responsibility of sorts. Now, when you're thinking of the fourth house too, you've got to remember that the fourth house is a parental house. It is the house of our parents. The fourth and 10th house are our parental houses. And the fourth generally goes down farther, particularly for girls. And so there's going to be that kind of paternal flavor going on here on the level of who your father could have been. Your father could have been Saturnian. Your father could have been very traditional, or the household itself could have been very traditional. It could have been strict. It could have been limiting to a certain degree. It could have had a lot of no's. You can't do that involved with it. If it's not father, it would be in the environment. And there might have been an extra emphasis on achievement as love. Get out into the world and make something of yourself, and a lot of emphasis put on schooling and goals and have a mission. And you might actually see that within your family. You might see high achievers in your family. And they might have expected that from you as well. Nothing wrong with that, of course, but again, I'm going to go down the road of it would have lacked the warm and fuzzy connection that you would have wanted from your father or from your family. It would have lacked a little tiny bit of, I want to say, feeling or closeness. You might have felt very alone as a child. You might have felt all by yourself as a child. You might have even come from a big family, but you might have felt very isolated as a kid, feeling again, I'm the one who has to look after me, or I'm the one who has to emotionally prop myself up in a way. So you've got this kind of feeling of a child that probably had to, as I said, had to come to a place of being able to find ways in the environment, in the early environment, to create your own emotional structure or your own emotional foundation in some kind of way. So, as you get older, you might want to find your home. You might want to build a house. And when I say build a house, I don't mean that literally. You might want to do that. But it's kind of like I want to find my own soft place to fall. I want to find my own place that I can come home to. And having a home environment and having a place that you can call your own and that you can feel strong and safe in could be really, really important for you. But I want to say that more importantly, it's going to go down the road a little bit more of you, as I said, being your own rock, being able to feel in a way that I can look after myself. The winds come, the rains come, and I'm still going to be strong while everybody else might be falling apart. It's a little bit like the three little pigs houses. Remember? The straw house and the wood house got blown away by the wolf, but the brick house, it remained intact. And that is basically what Saturn in the fourth house is trying to do. So when we're looking at Saturn in the fourth house, even though as a child it may have felt a little bit difficult, it may have felt a little bit restrained or restricted. You might have felt a little bit like there was a lot of no's going on. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. And a lot of emphasis or focus put on you doing well in the world, or, that little bit of that feeling of you getting love through achievement, that might come into it too. But in the end, as I said, this is great because this is not about relying on anybody anymore. So many of us are looking outside of ourselves all the time to get somebody to come into our lives and make us feel loved and make us feel safe and give us that kind of maternal or paternal kind of feeling that maybe we missed out on as children and we're looking for it outside of ourselves. Now, again, this does not mean you can't have this through people. Of course you can. But it also means that you are the one you turn to in the end. You're the one who's going to look after you. If you need to be emotionally fed, if you need to give yourself what you need, then you're the one you rely and depend on. And this is, to me, this is really, really wonderful because you're never ever going to feel you're never going to feel lost. You're never going to feel disconnected. You're never going to feel that you need any kind of outside forces to make you feel this way. It feels like, I've already got it. I've already got it intact. It's a foundation of who I am. It's something I've been learning since I was a kid. And it might have felt a little bit hard or a little bit difficult or maybe even a little bit unloving when you're a child. But at the same time, it's there. It is there for you. And it's up to you now to be able to pull yourself together to be able to become the boss of this particular area and be able to bring all the love and all the nurturance and the nourishment that the fourth house wants to bring. It's up to you to be able to create that for yourself right here and right now.